Good morning, students. Yesterday we were discussing about applications of Gauss law, and in that the first application that we have discussed was for finding electric intensity due to spherical charged conductor. And in that case, we worked out electric intensity outside the conductor, inside the conductor, and on the surface of charged conductor, spherical conductor I mean. To remind you, to revise you, while applying Gauss theorem to any kind of charged body, I mean any geometry, I have summarized certain steps. If I follow them, there is nothing as such any difficulty in connection with Gauss law. What was our first step? Understanding the point of our interest. Second, drawing the Gaussian surface. All those cares I have told you. Third one, visualizing the electric field and understanding whether it is uniform or non-uniform. Fourth one, calculation of flux. All the steps I had summarized there. Fifth one, recalling the Gauss law or Gauss statement. And the last one, equating flux calculated mathematically and flux calculated by the Gauss law. By doing so, you will arrive to the expected equation. In case of spherical conductor, outside you got 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0 q by r square. And there I had mentioned electric intensity outside the charged spherical conductor is of the pattern as if the whole charge on the surface of conductor is concentrated at its center. Inside we could understand 0. On the surface, just denominator small r, I will have to substitute capital R, that's it. And even in terms of surface charge density, I had written a relation E equal to sigma by epsilon naught. So these are all things what we discussed in the yesterday's class. One assignment you can keep ready, meanwhile I will go ahead. You can visualize or you can plot graph between electric intensity versus distance of the point from center of spherical conductor, charge conductor. You can have that R on x-axis and intensity on y-axis. You can visualize that. So this as an assignment time being you take. Once I complete few more things, I will come to this graph also. So let's go ahead with second application today then, and that is for long charged wire. So we would like to apply Gauss law, Gauss theorem to long charged wire. I think I am going beyond the limit of visibility. Just let me write below. I think this must be fine enough to see the visibility. Yeah, you can see that now. Okay, so let's go ahead then. What is my next point of discussion? I would like to apply Gauss theorem to long charged wire. Okay, so for that, let me have a long charged wire. Long wire I take. This is the wire which is given to me. This is a long wire, let us say of very long length L, practically very long, which I can assume infinity. And to this long wire, I have charge given as a Q that has got distributed uniformly over that wire. So as to have linear charge density, you can work it out this. How much is the linear charge density? Lambda Q by L. Now due to this wire, by calculus method, you have an idea about direction of electric intensity. To simply visualize here, so this is the wire which I am talking about. Now when I want to calculate electric intensity due to this wire at such point P, what we do, as per our earlier method, we divide that whole wire into elementary portions. Such two elementary portions I'll take for discussion. Electric intensity contributed by this portion, I can show in this direction. Electric intensity contributed by this portion, I'll have in this direction. These distances are same, so the angle is same. So the angle is same. I can resolve these electric intensities. One I'll get, like say if I call this as E1, I'll get this as a E1 cos theta. This I will get E1 sin theta. This I will have E2 cos theta. This I will have E2 sin theta. So what is the intention of this discussion which I would like to bring to your notice? So what I see is that if I take such elementary portion of that wire, in calculus method we can understand, not detail we did, but just basic of that I can remind you. We can understand that these components of electric field due to these elementary portions are going to get cancelled, because E1 and E2 are same in magnitude. How can I claim that? This distance is same, length of elementary portion is same, charge is same. If the distance and the charge is same, E1 and E2 will be same in magnitude. So these two components will cancel. And what we will have is the only cos component. Same thing is going to happen with any two elementary portion which you take equidistance from this my reference line. Over here, their sine components will cancel. And what you will have is only cos component. So inference of this discussion, conclusion of this discussion, which I would like to bring to your notice is that if I try to visualize electric field due to such long wire, I am going to get electric force lines due to this wire radially outwardly directed. Because I can see very clearly with respect to this portion, if I try to draw the electric force lines, I am going to have along this line. Because only the cos components are getting added. Direction of electric intensity is perpendicular to the wire, you can say. To visualize this, I can have even this picture. So if I am asked to visualize electric intensity due to this wire, I will have somewhat like this kind of picture. So here I have got that electric intensity, like a three-dimensional figure if I try to visualize. From the upper view, if I look at this, what is going to appear is like this. If I look like this, all these force lines I'll see starting from that long wire going away radially outwardly directed. Now one more thing which suggests me from this discussion is, if I go at any equal distance, at any direction equal distance from this wire, definitely magnitude of electric intensity is going to be same. So I mean from this wire, some distance x this side, 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 magnitude of electric intensity is going to be one and same. Only the direction is going to differ. So with this much background, in the present case, my aim is getting that electric intensity due to long charge wire with the help of Gauss law. So I mean, I would like to apply Gauss law for the present scenario. And according to the steps that I have narrated you, what is your first step? Understand the point of interest. Which is your point of interest? Let me say, from this wire, I have a point P at a distance D from the wire, I can say. So where is my point of interest? At a distance D. Okay. Now once I do that, the next step, to remind you to go ahead with the Gauss law, I should draw Gaussian surface. I should draw Gaussian surface. And let me do that then. To select the Gaussian surface, spherical or cylindrical I have. And I should make that selection in such a way that, not like a fast and fixed rules. I should see to it that selection of Gaussian surface should not involve much more complications. Main purpose of introducing Gauss law itself is to have simplicity in the calculation of intensity by making use of symmetry. So then naturally, while applying Gauss law, I should see to it that selection of Gaussian is also appropriate, so as much more complications doesn't get invited in the calculation. So with keeping that in mind, I am going to select Gaussian surface for the present case. And I draw that, I do that, I visualize a Gaussian of this pattern. Look here children. The Gaussian surface which I am going to draw for the present scenario is cylindrical Gaussian in such a way that my long wire happens to be the axis of that cylinder. I have drawn a Gaussian surface in such a way that a cylindrical Gaussian surface in such a way that this wire happens to be the axis. Okay. So while drawing the Gaussian, I had told you to take certain precautions. What are those? Point under study must lie on the surface. Yes, I do see that. Point under study lies on that. After that, what is my next precautions to be taken? Charge on the body should lie completely or partially. Now in the present case, I did not take cylinder or cylindrical Gaussian equal to the length of wire. I have taken part less than that. So definitely, whole charge on the wire is not going to enclose in the Gaussian. Part of the charge. That will do. Chalta hai wo bhi. Even part of the charge, okay, no problem. That's what I have done. So my step number 2 is also over. Now the next step that I have got, I should visualize the electric field associated with that charge body, and that already I have done here. So what I came to know from the discussion that I had before this, what I get to know, the field which is associated with that long wire is non-uniform. I say that simply because of different direction at different place. Whereas as such, if you ask me about magnitude, if I go equidistance in all direction from wire, magnitude is same. Only because of different direction, I say non-uniform. Correct? Huh? Then, once I understand the nature of field which I have got associated there, which is non-uniform, my step number 3 or next step, whatever it is, 4, is calculating the flux. So let me go ahead in calculating the flux. And while calculating the flux through the Gaussian surface, what I do is that at the place of my interest, let me assume electric intensity is E, which I need to calculate. Correct? Huh? Then that curved surface of cylinder I have got. At every point electric intensity E I have got magnitude. Direction is different at different location. Then my first aim is calculating flux through. See, cylindrical Gaussian, whenever I happen to deal, generally I divide cylindrical Gaussian into 3 broad portions first. Which are those 3 broad portions? Upper cross section, circular cross section, lower circular cross section, and the curved portion of that cylinder, you can say. Now my first thing is, the first thing which I am going to calculate, I would like to calculate electric flux through curved portion. Let me do that. And to do that, what I need to do? Whole curved surface I need to divide into elementary portion. Yaka? Field is non-uniform. Direction is different. And after dividing the whole curved surface into elementary portions, I will have to focus on one of the small portion surrounding the point of my interest. And that's what I do here then. Here I focus on one small portion of that curved part. This is the portion I am focusing on. Correct? Huh? Say whose area is a ds. Magnitude I know. How about direction? Area has direction along normal. Normal to the surface towards the observer. So which clearly tells me that area vector and intensity are in same direction. Then let's go ahead to calculate the flux through that small portion. As per the basic that we have for calculating flux, d phi equal to once again I write basic E ds cos theta. And I hope you might have understood now how much is theta in the present case. What is theta? I need to remind once again, because I have seen in the past children again and again make a mistake in understanding that theta, and they generally take theta as angle made by intensity with surface. With surface generally they take. Remember children, it's not with surface. Theta is angle made by electric intensity with area vector, with the normal to the surface. And that angle here I have got here. Normal, if I ask you to draw, this is going to be your normal. area vector, and area vector and intensity are in same direction. And consequently, the angle which I get there, theta, is how much? 0. And once I have got the angle theta is 0, flux through the small portion of the curved part of cylinder, I get EDS. So I got flux through the small portion, but my need is flux through the whole curved portion. So what I do then? Such many ds I will focus on. Such many d phi's I will get. And all those d phi's I will have to add by the technique of integration until I cover that whole curved surface. And if I go ahead with simple mathematical steps, which I had done yesterday also, this gives me magnitude being same everywhere. I can take it common. What left out in integration is summation of ds. All such small patches of that curved surface I ask you to add. And if you do that, what you get is curved surface area of the cylinder. What you get is curved surface area of the cylinder, and hopefully you all know curved surface area of the cylinder. That you get phi equal to, I write, E into radius of this cross section of cylinder is equal to this distance. Because to calculate the surface area, I need to know radius of that cylinder. D I have got. And the surface area, curved surface area of the cylinder is circumference 2 pi d, 2 pi r. D I have got in place of r into length of cylinder. Let me assume that the cylinder is of length small l I take, because wire I have taken of length capital L. So should not confuse you. Small l I say. Length of cylinder is small l. So what I got this? Flux associated with curved portion of the cylinder. Let me refer this as equation number 2. Is that the end of my discussion? No. I got only through the curved portion. Even I need through the circular portion of the cylinder. Is it only the curved part as the area of the cylinder? No. I have got even circular portion also. So let me think of calculating flux through curved portion. To visualize, to calculate flux through the curved portion, look here. Force line I can draw here. All these force lines I can visualize here. Same figure what I have drawn there, I am just trying to visualize here also. Which brings to my notice that over here, force lines are like this. I can see that all the force lines, if I see them with respect to cross section of the cylinder, are grazing to that surface. Circular cross section I am talking. Are in the circular section of the cylinder, I can say. Then, if I happen to calculate flux through the circular portion, I will focus on a small part of that circular portion, say ds. Direction of this ds is, I can show area vector name. This is the area vector ds cap. Whereas this has the electric intensity which already I have shown. Direction of electric intensity, and children, you can see very clearly there that what do you see? Angle made by electric intensity with the area vector of the flat surface, with area vector of circular section of the cylinder is 90. And when you take up for the calculation of flux, then again you will go with E ds cos theta. Theta you will get as a 90. cos 90 is 0. So what I understand is that there is no contribution to the flux through either this circular cross section or this circular cross section. So flux through circular section of the cylinder is 0. Either this first one or second one, you see, flux is 0 through circular section. So whatever the flux I have got, that is through only third portion of the cylinder. Hope you are getting me. Why don't I have flux through the circular section? I have brought to your notice. Because electric force lines are grazing to the circular section. Electric intensity makes an angle 90 degree with the area vector of circular section. And consequently, flux through these two circular section of the cylinder is 0. So then, this itself is my total flux, I can say. Whatever I got this itself is the total flux. Once I get that, here it completes my fourth step. I have calculated flux through the Gaussian. Flux to the curved surface represents in area itself is the total flux to the Gaussian. And once after doing that, if you remember the next step that you have got, recalling the Gauss theorem. Then from Gauss law, what do we know from Gauss law? Flux associated with the closed surface is 1 upon epsilon 0 times the charge enclosed. Look here, children. Actual charge on the wire is capital Q. But charge enclosed, I did not write capital Q. I wrote it as a small q. What does it mean? Whole charge is not enclosed. How much is enclosed then? I will have to calculate. I know how much is the charge over the unit length of that wire. Lambda. Then the charge enclosed over this length. How much length of the wire is inside? Equal to the length of cylinder. So I can write that Q equal to lambda into L. This gives me charge enclosed inside the cylinder. Charge enclosed in the Gaussian. Once I have that, I substitute that here. And I get then flux through Gaussian surface I am getting 1 upon epsilon 0 times lambda into L. So this is my equation number 3. So even step number 5 I have completed. Recalling the Gauss law. Taking the help of Gauss law to calculate flux. And once I have done that, I have equation 2 and 3. Equation 2 gives me the flux through the cylinder. Equation 3 gives me the flux through the cylinder. Same cylinder, that too. Only the approach of calculation is different. This flux I got calculated by mathematical method. This flux I got calculated by Gauss law. And they happens to represent flux through the same cylinder. Method of calculation should not differ its value. So I mean equation 2 and 3, both of them represent flux through our Gaussian surface. So with this reference, I can equate 2 and 3 and I get then E 2 pi dl, right hand side I am writing, equals to lambda L divided by epsilon naught. So we can rearrange it and we write E equals to 1 upon 2 pi epsilon 0 into lambda L will get cancelled. Small l both sides you have got. Lambda divided by D. So this gives me electric intensity at any point from the long charged wire. In this expression, lambda is linear charge density. And what is D? Perpendicular distance from the wire, where I want to calculate electric intensity. So this is the expression, but I don't like this to be written in this fashion. It's all the equations whatever I get in electrostatic, I would like to have in this pattern. Notice, what do I do? E equals to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0 2 lambda by d. Notice what I have done? Multiplied by 2 divided by 2 multiplied by 2. So what is the intention? Everywhere this constant I would like to have same. What is that constant which I am taking there? I am taking k equals to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0. This constant I would like to have same. To remember the equations from the point of competitive examination. So even you can remember this one. Electric intensity due to long wire is given by this relation. Or even for simplicity to remember, I can write E equal to K 2 lambda by D. Okay. So that was my intention, to have K same in every equation for whatever possible. Okay. So this is the equation for electric intensity due to long charged wire. And students, once you have got this equation available, and if I ask you to plot a graph for the variation of electric intensity with the distance, you can have that simple graph. Say I take intensity on y-axis, distance on x-axis, and you can very clearly see smaller the distance, greater is field, you can say. Smaller the distance, greater is the field. Long wire you have got, and if you go on moving away, electric intensity goes on decreasing. So that I would like to visualize in the form of graph here. Okay, in the form of graph, I can draw that like this. I did not touch over here. At zero distance, I mean I have got an infinite field in that way. At a zero distance, very close, very huge value I have got, meaning of that. And as I go on moving away, electric intensity goes on decreasing. And where do it become zero? I left that parallel to the distance axis. Where does it become zero then? At infinity. So this is the nature of plot that you can have for variation of electric intensity with distance. So this is all about what I have got. Electric intensity due to long charge wire. This is all about second application of Gauss theorem. So you have a glance over this, go through this, we will go ahead. Yes, did you finish? We shall go to the next one, next application. Before that, just make a note of all these things. Hope you might have completed. Let me go ahead. Okay. So the next application that we will go with, third application, that is for thin charged plane or plate, you can say. We shall apply Gauss theorem, Gauss law to thin charged plate. Okay. Again, whichever the geometry I have, the method of applying Gauss theorem or steps are going to remain one and same. There is no difference or difficulty there at all. Let us go ahead then. I'll have to have one thin sheet, plate or sheet you can say, of infinite dimension, very very huge in size. Let us have such thin plane sheet. And this is the sheet I am talking about. I draw that over here. Point to be noted, at present I am dealing with the sheet, charged sheet, which is of very huge dimension, and importantly it is a thin in geometry, very thin one it is, not thick one. For thick one also we shall come ahead. We will discuss about that also. Right now I am dealing with thin sheet, you can say. Okay. Now this thin sheet which is given to me is a charged one. Say this is charged positively. Whatever the positive charge are given to that thin sheet, that has got distributed uniformly. And here I show that. Everywhere it has got distributed uniformly. So as to have surface charge density as a sigma, I can say. So what is the density? Sigma. Surface charge density sigma. Now, due to this thin charged plane sheet, I would like to calculate electric intensity at any point it's in neighboring, in its surrounding. If I ask you to visualize electric field associated with this sheet, close to sheet I mean, what are you going to see? From thin sheet, charge sheet it is basically. Thin charge sheet you have got, and it is a positively charged. So I would see force lines getting originated from this sheet perpendicularly. To the other side also I would see force lines getting originated perpendicularly. How view like this? You got this as a sheet. Let me take this as a sheet. Okay. So this side I have got a force lines in this pattern. This side I have got a force lines in this pattern. That's what I would like to visualize there. Of that thin sheet, the force lines I have got. I can visualize that. The point is that as I'm very close to the thin sheet, I can work out. I can understand these force lines are parallel to each other. But as you go away, that is not going to happen. As you go away very long distance from the thin sheet, you will find the field as a non-uniform. Those force lines getting diverged from each other as you go away. I am talking. Because if you go at a long distance, even that thin sheet will be regarded as a point charge. If the distance is very, very long, I am talking about. That thin sheet itself can be regarded as a point charge. And then the field will have a non-uniform field. But as far as close to the sheet is concerned, I will have uniform field. Very, very close to the sheet, uniform I will have. Okay, anyhow. I would like to calculate intensity in the neighboring of this. For that, my step is identifying the point understood, understand the nature of field understood. I have to draw the Gaussian, that's the important step. And the Gaussian which I draw while applying the Gauss theorem to this sheet is of this pattern. Look here, children. Here I draw the Gaussian. The Gaussian surface which I have drawn is of this type. Cylindrical Gaussian again. Now you may ask, sir, the cylindrical Gaussian you have drawn, okay, we don't have any objection. You should have drawn only up to this. Why did you draw like extended to the other side? Look here, children, what is going to happen? Had I drawn that only up to this, what would have happened? I would have had charge on the surface of Gaussian. But touch so whatever charge is over the sheet where this Gaussian is touching, that amount of charge will be on the surface of Gaussian. But what we need in a Gauss theorem to apply, I need the charge to be enclosed. So what I did then, instead of just touching here, I extended it like this. I made it to penetrate and go to the other side. So that what will happen now? Charge over this portion will get enclosed in the Gaussian. That's what I have done. So Gaussian I have drawn, children. Now what is my next step? Calculating flux through the Gaussian. And to do that, what I am going to do is that Gaussian surface I will divide into three parts. Cylindrical Gaussian generally broadly into three parts first. Which are those three parts which I am going to divide? One is curved portion of the cylindrical Gaussian. I am talking about this portion. Second one is circular cross section. Third one is circular cross section. So let us deal with all these three portions independently then. First to go with flux associated with first portion. This is my first portion I say. Now to calculate flux through this portion, let me assume that electric intensity there over here is E, which I need to calculate of course. But one of the step while calculating flux, assume intensity to be calculated is E. That's what I have done. Area vector, if I ask you, is going to be perpendicular to this. Area vector is going to be perpendicular to this portion. Then area vector and intensity makes an angle 0 with each other. So, flux through the first portion of the cylinder, phi 1 I call. What is my general method of calculating flux? EA cos theta. Correct? E electric intensity here, A area and angle I have told you already. How much is angle? 0. So I get this as a EA, where A is cross-sectional area of the cylinder. Cross-sectional area of the cylinder. Phi 1 I got. Now let me straight away go to the flux through the second cross section, circular cross section, and into the other side. This is my second cross section. This one, I am talking about this one. Then to calculate flux through the second cross section, let us assume that electric intensity over here is again E. Both lengths is starting and going away. Positive charge it is. Start from here, goes away. Start from here, goes away. That's what I have shown here. Area vector, if I am asked to draw, in this direction I have to draw. Then flux through the second portion of the Gaussian I will get. Again EA cos theta. Theta is 0. So what I get is EA. This is my equation number 2. So flux through the first portion I got, flux through the second portion I got. What I need is flux through the third portion now. Which is the third portion? Curved portion. Curved portion being a very huge, more area. I will divide that into smaller. One such a small area of the curved portion I focus on here. This is the area I am talking about. ds, small area ds. Its direction of ds is this one, ds cap you can say. And now, if I am wishing to calculate flux through the small portion, I should know the intensity here. Let us assume E. I should know the area here, ds, and I should know more importantly angle made by area vector with intensity. Look here children, direction of electric intensity is perpendicular to that plane sheet. This is what I have shown. Whereas the area vector of the curved surface I have got in this direction. Area vector is in this direction upward. Intensity is in this direction. So the angle between them is again equal to 90. And once I get to know angle is 90, flux through the curved portion, one small part of the curved portion I have taken right now. Same thing is going to happen with every small portion of the curved part. So, flux through the curved part of the Gaussian then ultimately I am going to get 0. This is my equation number 3. If you want, you can mention the reason for that. What is the reason? Angle theta is 90. Okay. Angle between intensity and area vector is 90. Because of that, you can say flux for the curved portion of the cylinder is 0. So, while dealing with the cylindrical Gaussian, as I have told you in the beginning itself, generally I divide a cylindrical Gaussian into 3 parts, 2 circular section and 1 curved one. I get flux through each of them and I calculate the net flux through the Gaussian. And here I do net flux through the Gaussian, cylindrical Gaussian equal to first contributed by the first portion, flux contributed by the second portion, first flux contributed by the third portion. and this is contributed by the first portion EA, contributed by the second portion EA, contributed by the third portion 0, and that gives me flux through the cylindrical Gaussian equal to 2EA. This is my equation number 4. Look here children, I got flux through the cylindrical Gaussian given by this equation. Now my next step, step number 5 is applying Gauss law, recalling the Gauss law. And from the Gauss law, if I calculate flux through the Gaussian, hope you all can understand. Flux through the Gaussian is 1 upon epsilon 0 times the charge enclosed. Look here children, again I am writing small q. Let me say total charge is capital Q. Total charge, let us say capital Q, over the whole surface. To have surface charge density sigma. Then how much charge do I have enclosed in the Gaussian? Whatever is present over the shaded green portion. And how much is the charge over the shaded portion? I can work it out. Charge over the shaded portion Q equal to, I know over the unit area it is sigma. What is the area of the shaded portion? Equal to the area of cross section of cylinder, and that I have taken as A into A. So this gives me charge enclosed by the Gaussian. Look at children, this portion is enclosed. That value I will substitute here, and I get then flux through the Gaussian equal to sigma A divided by epsilon naught. This is my equation number 5. Equation 4 gives me the flux through the Gaussian. Equation 5 also gives me the flux through the Gaussian. The ways of calculations are different. Mathematically calculated, Gauss law calculated. I can equate them. I can equate those two fluxes. I mean those two fluxes calculated by those two different methods. And I get 2EA equals to sigma A divided by epsilon naught. A you can cancel, and here I get an expression for electric intensity in the neighboring of charged thin plane sheet, and this is the expression that I have got. Electric intensity at a point in the neighboring of thin charged plane sheet is given by this. Magnitude दे दो बरे. If you wish to write direction also, you can introduce a unit vector. You can say this as a n cap. What is n cap? I have to mention. N cap is a unit vector along the direction of intensity. I can work it out that. And this, look at this expression. You can see, as long as you are close to the sheet, you are going to have electric intensity independent of your distance from sheet. But you should not go very long. If you go very long, what is going to happen? Sheet becomes point charge again. Charge on the sheet becomes point charge instead of continuous. If you go very long, and again you will have intensity dependent on distance. So this equation I use is valid as long as I am very close to the sheet. And deliberately, if you remember, in the beginning I had mentioned sheet is of very huge dimension. I say intention was to say that I am very close to the sheet in that way. So this is about electric intensity in case of thin charged sheet. If it is thick one, what to do? We shall understand. Before that, have a note of this. Yes, hope you have finished it. I'll go next. Okay. Next one, or I'll say fourth application is for thick, plain, of course, child sheet it is. Straight away, let me visualize a thick sheet here, and it is okay. So this is my thin sheet. Right. Now, to this thin sheet, the charge which I have given is Q. So as to have surface charge density sigma again. So this is the charge which I have given. Here is the charge given. And remember children now, the charge which is given to the thin sheet will get distributed on its surface, you can say as usual if it is a conducting one. Sheet is of this type now. I have a charge to this side, I have got a charge to this side, which I am trying to visualize that. So once I do that, again my next further steps are going to calculate the electric intensity at any point. I have to have a Gaussian visualization of field, understanding the point. These are now well understood. Directly straight away I will go with Gaussian, and the Gaussian which I draw in the present case is again cylindrical Gaussian, and here I do that. And look here children now, in the present case, I am not going to extend this cylinder so as to penetrate to the other side. So rather what I am going to do, notice, earlier case I had thin one, now I have got thick one. So what I do then, this cylinder, this end, in earlier case was like this, but now what I am going to do, what was the intention of making it to pass through? So as to enclose a charge. Now what I do, as it is thick one, the cylindrical Gaussian, just I'll bring in this position. Between the two surfaces of thick sheet, I did not make like this in the present case. It's not like this. Rather, how it is that then? This is one place, one surface of thick sheet, another surface. In between you got a gap. And my another end of the Gaussian surface is in that gap. So, let me go ahead and what change I'm going to make in the present case. So to calculate the flux through the Gaussian, again I will be dividing the Gaussian into how many portions for cylindrical Gaussian? 3 portions. First portion is as usual portion number 1. Flux to the first portion phi 1 equal to, you are aware of the equation, directly write EA, where E is the intensity, A is the area, this area I am talking about, this area, circular area I am talking about, theta is 0. So the flux through first portion of the Gaussian I got. Now I will go to the next portion, second portion of the Gaussian, I mean circular cross section. Flux through the second portion of the Gaussian. And understand students here, where is your second portion of the Gaussian? Where is your second portion? You got like this. Inside the conductor it is. This is inside the conductor, thick conductor you got. So then inside the conductor, you know how much is the electric intensity? 0. So even flux through the second portion of the cylinder I am getting 0. You can mention the reason here. As E is 0, electric intensity inside the conductor is 0. You get flux through the second portion also 0. And left out is through the third portion. Which is your third portion? Circular one and curved one. For the curved one, small portion I take. This is the area vector, which makes an angle 90 with intensity there. So the flux through the third portion is also equal to 0. The reason for that is theta is 90. Now the net flux through the Gaussian I can work out once again as a phi 1 plus phi 2 plus phi 3. These two are 0. So you get EE, that's it. This is our equation number 4. I got flux through the first part, I got flux through the second part, I got flux through the third part, and also I got net flux through the cylindrical Gaussian. Now my next step is I have to simply recall the Gauss law from Gauss theorem. What do I understand from Gauss law, Gauss theorem? Flux associated with closed surface is equal to 1 upon epsilon 0 times the charge enclosed. Mean how much charge enclosed? Not the whole charge again. Same discussion I am going with first. So charge enclosed I can work out. Sigma into A. Sigma is the density. A is this area. How much charge is enclosed? Equal to whatever portion of the sheet is inside the cylinder. How much portion of the sheet is inside the cylinder? Equal to the cross sectional area. So I can substitute that. Phi equal to sigma A divided by epsilon naught. This is my equation number 5. So 4 and 5 I have got. 4 and 5. They are representing same flux through the Gaussian. I can equate them. And if I do so, if I equate them, what I am going to get is EA equals to sigma A divided by epsilon naught. Look here children, these two equations I am equating. A is going to cancel, and what I get is electric intensity due to a plain thick sheet at any point close to the sheet is given by this relation. And even I can see in this equation also, electric intensity close to that sheet is again going to be independent like earlier one. But the only change that you can notice is the denominator. You have 2 there. Sigma by 2 epsilon is the relation for that. But here I got sigma divided by epsilon naught. That's it. Nothing else than this. So this is all about what we have got electric intensity in case of thick sheet. Now by having understood these two, suppose in case I am asked to calculate or deal to a situation like this. E tarah I have got two sheets. Arranged parallel to each other like this. First sheet has got surface charge density sigma 1 plus. Second sheet surface charge density sigma 2 plus, adunu plus A. And both of them are, let me mention, thin sheets. And now, due to this arrangement, my interest is calculating electric intensity outside this side, in between, and again outside. So these are the three locations where I would like to calculate electric intensity. Let me do that then. As I mentioned, charge is as a positive. So electric intensity in the neighboring of sheet I know. Along the line perpendicular to the sheet, one thing. So contribution by this sheet here I will work out, and it is sheet going away. This is the direction. Even I can see over here at this point, intensity contributed by the first sheet I have got E1. How about its magnitude? E1 equals to sigma by 2 epsilon naught, sigma 1. Contribution by the first one I got. I need to know contribution by the second one while dealing intensity due to this. Forget that this is there. So then contribution due to this, you will have E2. Direction nodi na. The second sheet positive ada going away E2. And that contribution E2 equal to sigma 2 divided by 2 epsilon naught. Correct? Huh? So then these two intensities, you can look here children, are in same direction. So resultant electric intensity at first place, this is my first place I can see. How much I am getting? Intensity contributed by the first plate or sheet, intensity contributed by the second sheet. They being in same direction, you can add them. So the electric intensity at first place, I am getting how much? 1 upon 2 epsilon 0 common, sigma 1 plus sigma 2. This I got outside this side, outside and this side. Remember, outside and this side. Similarly, if I ask you to do to the other side, till side, again I have intensity contributed by this as in E2. Notice, correct? By this plate, intensity contributed by this plate. Forget about this. You will have E1. Resultant electric intensity at third place, E1 plus E2. You can add them and you get. So whether I am this side or that side, or I say I am outside. In outside, see how I am using the phrase outside. Outside and with respect to this arrangement I am talking. This is inside I call it, between inside, outside, outside. So how much is electric intensity outside the place? Given by this. If both are positively charged here, I could get this one. Suppose if sigma 1 is positive, sigma 2 is negative. Avag enagtuna E1 I will have in this direction, E2 opposite direction. E1 is one direction, E2 opposite minus I will have. And here I get minus. So remember children that depending upon how the nature of charge I have got, if both of them plus, I will add it. Both of them minus also I will add it. Only direction will be, if both of them are plus, going away. Both of them minus, going towards. That's it, magnitude same. One plus, one minus, I'll have minus sign here. From greater sigma, smaller sigma, I'll have to subtract. Okay, this is outside aito. Now my point of interest is inside now. So electric intensity contributed by the first plate, going away, I am showing like this, E1, E is due to first plate. Contributed by the second plate is due to second plate, going away, second plate. Look here children, these two directions are opposite. So, resultant electric intensity inside is a vector sum of these two. And in vector sum what I do? Just difference I will take. Right now, that's what I am doing here. So what does it mean difference? From greater smaller I have to subtract. And this gives me intensity inside equals to 1 upon 2 epsilon 0 common you can take. And you will have your sigma 1 difference sigma 2. So this is electric intensity inside two plates. Outside I have got, inside I have got. So more such kind of discussions we shall have in the next period. So one more period, this part will get over which is associated with Gauss law and few numericals. So till then, see you tomorrow. Direct what does it?
I should start.
Okay.